Today, we're going to take a look at the top 5 best footballs on the market in the summer of 2018. We'll try to talk you through some of my favorite footballs to play with at the moment. Now, of course, we are primarily talking match balls here because, in my opinion, and pretty naturally, they are superior to everything else out there, which is understandable because they're also a little bit more expensive. But just because there are only match balls on the list doesn't mean that you can't necessarily get a good deal for any other football out there if you know what you should be looking for. And I'm going to give you a few tips on that in this video as well. So what do you say we jump straight into it with a little bit of a surprise? Because number 5 is the new Molten ball made for the Europa League, which has been based on the Molten Vantaggio 5000 that I had honestly never heard of before I did this video. But apart from having a super kick-ass name, this is also a very reliable ball with a good flight pattern that feels very stable in the air, and also it has a really interesting, slightly dimply golf ball-like texture on the upper, where you feel a little bit of texture and grip when you actually touch the ball, and that's very nice. And despite the fact that this might just look like your ordinary 32 panel shaped football, it's actually not necessarily just that. The panels have been thermal bonded, glued together to make the water absorption a little bit smaller. It doesn't absorb as much water at least, and also Molten focused on having a high density bladder focusing on stability, and you definitely feel how the Vantaggio 5000 here for the Europa League feels very reliable when you shoot. It doesn't move too much unless you actually want it to, and neither does it feel too clumsy or overly heavy, so it gives you a little bit of everything. And in honesty, it's just a very nice football to play with, very underrated, and it actually reminds me a little bit of another ball on the list that I like a lot. So solid, and you should actually give it a go. Number 4 then is the Adidas Telstar 18, made for the World Cup, but which we're probably also going to see around with a lot of other different visual designs, but of course still made with the same construction tech package. They're simply just going to update the looks. But the Telstar here is made with only 6 panels, and it features an integrated near-field communications chip that I'm unsure anyone has ever really used. But with that said, it is one of those footballs that's just a whole lot of fun to play with. It's extremely responsive if you hit it right. It's got a good foam package to it to give you a slightly padded sensation when you shoot. And also, if you hit it right and with enough power, you can really get this ball to move. In other words, it's fast. It's got some movement to it in the air that can be a little bit unpredictable, but also a lot of fun. And if you hit it in the sweet spot, this ball can be a right rocket. And it feels just like those Adidas balls of old that had a bit of movement to it, were a little bit unpredictable, but also very fun. So while it's not the most stable ball out there, well, it's a good football. I enjoy playing with it a lot. Number 3 is the Nike Merlin, which is the ball that's used in the Premier League, the Serie A, and in La Liga. It's been made with only 4 panels, which I think is the least amount of panels I've ever seen in my life. And Nike have done that to really decrease the amount of connection points to make the ball more aerodynamic. And that's, by the way, also the reason that the panels have been thermal bonded, glued together to make it more aerodynamic and also really make sure it doesn't absorb too much water. And the ball also has ACC on it, which I really haven't felt the effects of yet. Plus, Nike claim it's more stable in the air because the aero track grooves here have increased in numbers. And you definitely feel how it's very, very stable and reliable in the air. But if you hit it right and hard enough, you can definitely also get some movement and some speed to it. It's not as fast or, it weighs a little bit more than the Adidas balls, but it's a nice extra weight to it, and it makes you feel like you can actually trust the Merlin, which is something that I really like. And given the fact that it feels faster and less solid and rock-like compared to the older Auden balls, this is a big step for me in the right direction, and I enjoy this quite a lot actually. Second place goes to the Adidas Finale, made for the Champions League. And you guys might be thinking, wait, what? That looks weird. And it kind of does. But this is the new design for the finale ball for this year's Champions League in order to make it more visible when you play under the floodlights. But tech-wise, nothing has really changed. And since I haven't got the top-end ball of the new design here, well, we're going to use the one that they played with in Kiev. We've still got the star-shaped panels here. We got a very textured dimply upper to give you a nice grippy sensation when you're on the ball. There's a foam package that's neither too thin nor too thick. And that means that you get a very nice weight to it when you shoot, but also it feels like whatever you put in is what you get out. Then of course with a little bit of Adidas speed and fastness added on top of it. And I definitely prefer this to the Telstar because of that little bit of extra reliability that it feels like you're getting. For honorable mentions, I have taken the All Sport Elysia, which is used in the French Ligue 1. It's made with 22 thermal bonded panels, a slightly spongy foam design, and also, of course, this really grippy textured sensation that reminds me a little bit of the Adidas balls. And actually, the comparison to the Adidas balls isn't too far off. It feels really fast when you strike it. It has that same, should we say, dampening but very responsive effect when you strike the ball. Although it is a little bit more floaty, I would say. It doesn't feel like it has the same weight to it as the Adidas balls. But if you like that and you like the grip on the ball when you dribble, this is a very good alternative. And I think for you freestylers out there, you might actually like it a lot. It's got the grip, it's got the foam, and if you want an alternative to your Adidas match balls, this ain't too bad. Now, my personal favorite football on the market is the Select Brilliant Super TB and the Derby Star Brilliant APS. Why 2 balls, Jay? Isn't that cheating? Well, technically no, because this is the same football. Seeing how Derby Star is a part of the Select group, well, the 2 balls have basically been made on the same template. And that template is, and stay on your toes here, built with 32 panels that have been thermal bonded together in order to absorb less water and give a more round football. It's been made with this a golf ball-like slightly dimply texture on the upper to give it a more stable flight, but also to give you a little bit of texturing. And finally, it's been made with a faster foam compound to give it a bit more of an aggressive flight. And what you get here is definitely the trademark Select stability, where it's quite comfortably the most reliable football on the market and one of the most reliable balls I've ever played with. But if you hit it right and if you hit it true enough, you can also get a really explosive, very straight flight pattern to it as well. Personally, I love these 2 balls. They have the, should I say, perfect weight to it and perfect one-to-one relation between what you put in and what you get out. And for me, this is the ball I would choose any day of the week for when it really matters in a match situation. And by the way, this is also the ball I referred to when I talked about the Molten Ball, only this is a little bit better. So there you go, my friends. What is, in my opinion, the 5 best footballs on the market right now in summer 2018. But as I promised you in the intro, I'm also going to give you a few tips on what you should look for if you haven't got the dough to get a match ball. Now here I would be looking for a ball that is relatively round and looks pretty aerodynamic, where the panels have looked to be engineered relatively closely together. You could also look for a little bit of texturing for grip on the ball and also a nice foam package. And of course, the ball shouldn't feel too plasticky. And if you want a suggestion, this ball right here, the Adidas Team Match Pro, is a very, very solid option for a lot less money that you would pay for the high-end match balls. But with that said, guys, we're talking about the best balls here. Which is your personal favorite on the market? Could be one of these 5, could be something else. As always, you should let me know in the comment section right down below. Now, if you want to get yourself a new football, I'll leave a link right over there where you can go to unisportstore.com and pick all of these wonderful footballs up. Now, also don't forget to join our Unisport Live family. Go subscribe to our channel with the notifications on, of course, to see all our latest video the second they drop. And finally, if you want to keep watching on YouTube, I'll leave a link to the top 5 playlist that you should go and watch right down here. With that said, guys, I'm signing off. Cheerio.